Welcome to another edition of the TSS podcast, brought to you in association with Luke 1977 and Bowden and Dolphin, with your hosts Rob Carless from Bob's Books and the legend that is Shaun Teale. He's here, there, and everywhere, and he's Tealey saying something.
He's here, he's every fucking where. Shaun Teale, Shaun Teale. He's here, he's every fucking where. Shaun Teale, Shaun Teale.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition TSS podcast. You all know the abbreviation by now. This is show 14, so I'm really hoping that you do. It is, of course, the Tealey Sayin something podcast, and the Tealey in question is Shaun Teale, absolute legend of the game. Played for 3,500 clubs, played about 10 minutes for each one of them. No man joking. Played admirably for clubs all across the world, and of course spent 4 years with Aston Villa, and he's still a big Villa fan. So hello, Shaun Teale.
Good afternoon, Rob.
Good afternoon. We are going early.
Yes,
It is light in the studio, and I'll have to say, Shaun, it is warm.
Yes, I've just been sat in the back garden for an hour and a half, and it's lovely.
Yes, and you'd only need about 3 coats in here because it's that warm at this moment in time.
It
Really is. And of course, we've got the man who puts everything together, Chris Browne. How are you, Chris?
I'm fine, yeah, thanks. Yeah, you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Good to be back up in God's country in Birmingham, as always. Right, so let's get straight into it then. A lot of football talk. A couple of things that have happened today, which is the Thursday. Obviously, we're going out on Monday, what is it?
24th.
24th, that's the one. No, it's not.
It's
the
Monday.
24th today, which is Thursday. But
so
this show will go out on Monday, the 28th.
Well done.
There you go. Good at math. What? I can't stand it when English people say math.
That's ridiculous.
Instead of math.
Do the math.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll do some maths on all the football results that we've what we need to catch up on. Of course, we've gone out of the Champions League. We all thought that might happen. That last-minute goal in Paris really put the cat amongst the pigeons even. And, you know, they went to what? But a great comeback. Shaun, you was there in your ambassadorial role. Oh, he hasn't said anything about it being a freebie. I'll set you up there, Chris.
Sorry,
I'll let you off. I'd let you off. What was the atmosphere like, Shaun?
The atmosphere was it was good, but it was a strange atmosphere because it started off really noisy, really loud. And then, of course, they got the first goal, and that sort of kills the atmosphere straight away. Then they get the second goal, and you think, we're dying a death here. And it wasn't until we got the second goal and leveled the game back to 2-2 that it sort of took off again. And then, obviously, Ezri Konsa scored the third. And then everybody's literally on the edge of the seats just waiting to see if we can get a fourth and get back in the tie completely. But it wasn't to be. You know, it was a great effort from the lads. But, you know, as we said, you can't ship that last-minute goal in Paris, and you can't ship 2 early goals at Villa Park and hope to come through.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a good. We put up a good fight in that second period of the second leg. As you say, that last second goal, you and I were together at Arms. Hello, Witten Arms, fantastic place, and it just never went, did it? Basically, as soon as that third goal went in, we all thought, that's it.
Well, there was a massive groan from right round the Witten Arms, wasn't there? As if saying, "Oh no, what have we done?"
Yeah,
you know, and it's been an issue early in the season where we ship late goals, and unfortunately, after the other night, it looks like it's becoming an issue again. So, you know, we need to tighten things up. Yeah,
I mean, if you look back to the start of the season or in the early stages of it, and this is probably why we're sitting 7th instead of in that top 5 at this moment in time, is that last second goal against Bournemouth.
Yeah, well, I read a stat the other day, it might even have been yesterday, about all the top sides and what they've picked up points-wise off the bottom teams, and we're way, way, way short of that. We're 15 points behind all the other top teams in points we've picked up against the relegation threatened teams. I mean, we've only we've only beaten. Did we beat Ipswich or did we draw with Ipswich?
We drew with them at their place and beat them by, I think, 1 goal at Villa Park.
Yeah. But if you look at all the stats with all the other teams, we've given points away. We had that spell early season where we just couldn't keep a clean sheet. We were really struggling to keep a clean sheet, and that could end up biting us on the backside.
Yeah. So obviously, let's go forward after the PSG game. Newcastle United weekend had the family down to Greenham, where I live now, and we had a few beers and then got back in to watch the game. What a game that was! Brilliant atmosphere in our household. What was it like being there, Shaun? I mean, what a performance as well.
Again, before the game, it was very sort of tense because obviously, they'd beaten Palace in midweek 5. They were flying, I think, six wins out of 6. We knew it was going to be really difficult, or we thought that's how it would play out. But as it happened, it played out the total opposite. We were fantastic on the day, and they didn't perform on the day. And it's really as black and white as that. The early goal obviously helps, 33 seconds, and then we just obviously we shipped a goal to them. And you'd have to say that Emi Martinez would have to take some of the blame for that. He should be stopping that. But after that, we just took our second half. We took over. It was just one-way traffic. And their midfield, who are very, very good, Joe Linton and the rest of them, just couldn't cope with us. Just couldn't cope with our movements and our running off the ball.
I think it's fair to say, and I'm going to come on to a subject which has been prevalent in the last 4 or 5 days or so, especially after his comments. Ollie Watkins was magnificent against Newcastle.
Yeah, led the line superbly, held things up, brought people into play, was always a threat. Obviously, scoring early on, yes, via deflection, but that's irrelevant. But then he hit the woodwork twice. His first one with his left foot strike was an unbelievable strike. It just found right the corner of the crossbar and the post. And his second one, the header, really, he can't do any more. He's headed it as firmly as he can, and it's just cracked off the post and come back out. So yeah, he was fabulous on the day. Really, really looked like he had a point to prove, really. And I think with his interview after that sort of tells everything, that he was angry and he wanted to prove a point.
Well, that brings us nicely up onto a point in question for us to discuss now. A lot of people have been making comments on social media about whether Ollie Watkins was right to say what he said. Was he too emotional about it? All those kind of things. Does he want out of Villa Park? I don't think there was anything wrong with the interview. He was asked a question about how he felt about playing 20 minutes or so against PSG, and he said he was fuming. He didn't like it. He wanted to be playing in some of the biggest games of his life, but he respected the manager because it's the manager that needs to make these decisions. And Wright Keane came out with a good point in midweek as well when he said it's not the job of the manager to make the players happy. It's the job of the manager to go out there and get the results. Keep him in a job and keep him winning things. But I never thought there was anything wrong with what Ollie Watkins said. Shaun, what's your view on it? I mean, given that today footballers are media trained and even the 18, 19-year-olds are savvy these days, I thought it was refreshing and I thought he was respectful, but he made his feelings known. Shaun, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, Rob. I don't think he did anything wrong. He was asked the question. He answered it honestly. What did the reporter expect him to say? Oh, no, I was happy at sitting on the bench for all about 20 minutes of both PSG games. And like Ollie said, and he's got a fair point, they've worked hard over a 2-year period, really, to get into that position of being in the Champions League and playing big games. And then he finds himself on the bench. The only thing that worries me about Ollie at the moment is the fact that, yes, he's come out and said that he was brilliant at the weekend against Newcastle. But then we go to City and he's back on the bench. And I'm just hoping it's not Unai Emery putting him in his place in a way, because I don't think that's the right way to go about things. I'm not questioning Unai Emery's decisions. He's the manager. He makes the decisions, and you live and die by his decisions. But The only other thing I can think of, he left the 5 out that played against Newcastle, and you think, well, why change it when you're playing so well? Why upset the apple cart? Maybe it's to do with Saturday's semi-final. Maybe he's leaving those players out because he's going to play all them 5 in the semi.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that you've made there. Chris, did you see the interview yourself? Did you?
I didn't know. Can you elaborate on it? I don't.
Well, he was to the point, but, you know, he was diligent in the way that he was speaking. But he basically, and he used these words, I was fuming being left out of the games.
Oh, right. Okay.
You know, I've come this far with the club. We're playing our biggest matches. I've been a major part of it, and I'm not in the starting lineup, but I'm not at least playing more minutes in those games there. So he mentioned the word fuming, and of course Fleet Street, I know it's not Fleet Street anymore, but I'm old money, have picked up on it, and he now wants to leave the club, and he hates Unai Emery on that one there. But he did say, "Oh, I have to respect the manager's decision." You know, it's up to him to do it. There's a lot of pros and cons at this moment, and people are, you know, putting together a Ollie Watkins versus Marcus Rashford kind of case study at this moment. First thing I would say is that for the first time, I think in my 50-odd years of being a Villa fan, we really do. What all of this does show to me is that we really have that strength in depth. When you've got England's number 9 or one of them, after Harry Kane and Rashford playing, it does show that we have got that strength in depth. We've always had one or two players to bring on, but we are now strong in every position.
Well, we've now got first team players that can't even get on the bench.
Correct.
You know, seasoned pros that can't even get in that 7 to get on the bench. So that shows you how strong we are as a unit now. You know, the Watkins Rashford thing is just because it's the here and now as such. You know, there's no reason why come this weekend Ollie doesn't play up front and Marcus plays wide left. You know, quite a possibility. Unai is just juggling his balls at the moment to work out what works in what game, and you know, he's fully entitled to do that as the manager.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So let's come on to Marcus Rashford then. Funny enough, I was talking to one of the guys who I live by. He's a Reading fan. Hello, Graham. And he basically was saying that Marcus Rashford hasn't done well for Villa since he's come. I told him that isn't the case, and he's made a good, positive start, and to the team as well, where we've won a lot of games, and you know, we've been in a lot of competitions and all this kind of stuff. So I think it's worked. In fairness, but it seems now that coming from the Rashford camp is that he's not looking to make any decisions until mid-June.
He's already come out and stated that he won't join any team that's not in the Champions League.
Yeah,
that came out yesterday. So, you know, that could narrow down. Well, it will narrow down exactly where he goes anyway. Because if we don't make it, obviously he's going to turn around and say, "Well, he's not staying with us because he's not in the Champions League."
Yeah.
So if that's it, you know, he's going to stick to what he's come out and said. For me, Ollie's still our number 1 striker, and I don't see that changing in the near future. You know, we're just blessed at this moment that, or the manager's blessed that he's got these options that he can tinker around with as and when he pleases.
Yeah, again, I go back to the fact that, and you've alluded to it as well, that the strength in depth that we've got, you know, good players, great players in every position is just marvellous news. Right, so let's talk about the Manchester City game then, right? I said before the Newcastle game, I will reserve judgment on whether we're going to get into the Champions League based on the games against Newcastle and Man City, right? 3 points out of 6. I still can't work it all out at this moment in time. Certainly not dead and buried, and there's a lot to play.
No.
You know,
we've got 4 games to go, 2 home, 2 away.
Yeah.
You know, and we've got to go into all them games looking and expecting to win them all. And remembering, if you look at the fixtures that other teams have got, Chelsea have got an absolute stinker of a run in. I would be very surprised if Chelsea finish above Villa. And the other one that could struggle, I know they picked up 3 points at Tottenham on Monday, but everybody picks up 3 points against Tottenham, to be fair, is Forest. They've not got the easiest running either. So, it's just one of those. It's one of those run-ins that it's a bit like last year with the Tottenham thing. Tottenham were in prime position and just fell apart. All we can do is make sure we don't fall apart. We get our 12 points and see where it takes us.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I know we got the FA Cup this weekend, and we'll come on to that in a bit. Who did Chelsea play the weekend and Newcastle?
Chelsea play Ipswich.
Who plays Ipswich?
Newcastle.
Oh, yeah, that's right. At St James's. I've got a feeling that they will slip up.
Did Chelsea not play Liverpool very soon?
Don't know. I'm on the Google.
I'm on it.
He's looking for it now. We'll just talk amongst ourselves for a bit while.
Yeah, so they've got Everton coming up, Chelsea.
That's right. They're at Everton, aren't they?
Saturday.
They're at home to Everton, aren't they?
Maybe there's a few more twists and turns in it. So by your definition there of teams that you don't think will do well with their running, you can see us being top 5 still, Shaun?
Yeah, I can. But it's imperative we win our 4 games. We need them 12 points. And every win puts pressure on everybody else. So as Chris has just said, they've got Everton at home this weekend. That's never a given against Everton, because if the right Everton turn up, they could nullify Chelsea completely. To be fair, Fulham should have beat Chelsea last weekend.
Yeah.
They let them slip through the net, really. But then Chelsea have they got Forest to play last game of the season?
They've actually got 4 games in 11 days.
Who have?
Chelsea.
Okay.
Because they've got the two Europa Conference League games. They've got Liverpool.
They've got Liverpool and Arsenal to play still.
They've got Liverpool. They've got Liverpool. They've got Newcastle to play, Man United to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
they've got a good running.
Yeah. But like you say, what we've got to do now, Shaun, is win 4 games.
Take care of our business. That's all we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So whilst everybody else is concentrating on the league this week, we've got our FA Cup semi-final against Crystal Palace. On the Saturday, I think the Forest Man City game is on the day after.
Yeah. Okay.
So did we see, and I'm taking nothing away from Crystal Palace. I haven't seen Mateta's goal from last night yet, but I've heard it's a superb goal. Did we see on Tuesday night with Man City playing Villa, did we see what many people will perceive or the bookies' favourites to be the final?
That's a difficult one, because I think City Forest is going to be a really tight game, because Forest play that certain way. And City aren't comfortable when they're defending long balls. They like to play through the middle, and if they can pinch the ball in transition in the middle of the park, that's how they create their goals. So if things are going longer, and you've got the likes of Alanga, Chris Woods up front, they're a handful. They are really a handful, and it really depends who gets out of the blocks earliest. If Forest get out of the blocks early, then City could be in trouble. Yeah,
to me, it just looks like that City, and they are not Man City of a couple of years ago. We all know that. Aging legs and all that kind of stuff. They just seem to be picking up results. Not playing brilliant, but picking up results at the right time.
I think going back to the original question, I think the purists would want a City Villa final, because it would be a complete footballing final, whereas Palace play with 3 at the back, 2 wide men, and get the ball forward to Mateta. And on the other hand, Forest do the same with Chris Woods. They get the ball forward early. So they're a bit more long ball than we are. Don't get me wrong, they still play and they're very, very good at what they do. But I think the purists would prefer a City Villa final.
Yeah, I mean, my ideal final is Forest versus Villa. That's the one I'd really like to see.
All Midlands.
Yeah, that would be really good.
As long as we get there, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, exactly. I do agree with that. I'll tell you what made me laugh in last night's game with Arsenal and Crystal Palace is it's Glasner, isn't it? Their manager. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yes. Yeah.
Well done, Rob.
We're not going to do pronunciation.
Yeah, because we'll get you doing that PSG player again. Should know that by now. That one. KK.
KK.
All right. Is Glasner's coming out with, he thought the fixture was going against his team.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
And then I'm thinking, we've been playing in the Champions League.
We've had game after game after game. We had 8 games. We had 8 games in February.
Correct.
8 games in March.
Yeah.
So what's he moaning about?
Correct.
Get on with it.
Yeah.
Grow up here and get on with it.
Now, they've become our bogey team since the last game of last season when they beat us 5-1. And obviously we were having a Champions League party on that day, taking nothing away from Palace because they did have a great run-in. And they've knocked us out of the League Cup this year. We drew at Villa Park and they thrashed us again at Selhurst Park. Does that form, or your bogey team, and you've played in cup finals and cup matches, Shaun? Does all that go out the window as a player? Do you think, oh shit, they've beaten us, three times already this season? Because that's obviously what fans think.
No.
What do you guys do?
As players, no. You've got a job to. The biggest difference in all them games to Saturday's game is it's not at Selhurst Park and it's not at Villa Park, it's at Wembley.
Yeah.
And it's a different ball game once you get to that stadium. The 2 defeats at Selhurst Park, they deserved them because we were garbage on the day, and we got beat. We got our backsides felt twice. The League Cup, knocking us out the League Cup was farcical in a sense because we played such a weakened team that week. I mean, it was Tyrone Mings' first game back, and this, that, and the other, and the league game was just a disappointing outcome. We probably played well enough to have won the league game at Villa Park. But no, this is a different ball game. This is just 2 teams going against each other. And going back to Matata's goal last night, he was gifted it, to be fair, if you've seen it. He was absolutely gifted it. They talk about the 2 Arsenal centre-backs being the best in the Premier League. Well, Saliba had an absolute holocaust. He literally passed the ball to him, and all he had to do was chip it over the keeper, who was 10 yards, 15 yards off his line. So it wasn't that magical. Eze's goal for me was better from the corner.
Do you think playing on a wide open pitch as is what Wembley is, do you think that could play into their hands given their 3 at the back and the fact that they've got wider men than we have?
No, not really. I don't see the size of the pitch makes that much difference. It's how you use the space, isn't it?
Yeah, I think what I meant by that was they play more wider than we do. But will that work out better for them there? I don't know.
Well, no, because if you look at our setup will be what it normally is. So we'll go 4-2-3-1. So, it's then up to the likes of whoever plays left side, Jacob Ramsey or Rashford, to trap Munoz back, and vice versa on the other side. I think controlling the centre of the pitch is the big thing. They're decent in there. Wharton's a good player. The blonde-haired lad's a good player. Hughes is good. And Hughes has done it for so long now. But if we're on our game and we're playing like with the fluidity we did against Newcastle, then no, I wouldn't be scared of Palace. Just be aware that if you don't shut them down in the right areas, that they're going to get at us.
Yeah, true. What's your prediction, Shaun?
I think we'll beat Palace 3-1.
Do you know what? I've got 3-1 in my head. I don't know why, but I've got 3-1 in my head. Obviously, that would be bad for Palace because Wembley's no place for losers, as Birmingham City found out a couple of weeks ago.
And also,
the link there, Shaun.
I think we all said 3-1 for the losers as well. So maybe that's an omen. Close enough.
Yeah, I said 2-1. Did you like that? The way they did that, Shaun?
Yeah, good segue.
Yeah.
To be fair, I saw little bits of it, and I saw the goals, and obviously the free kick was stunning. Start Peterborough off, obviously an ex-Villa player. It goes without saying. At the end of the day, Peterborough defended well and got the lucky break and got the second goal. So, listen, at the end of the day, the most important thing for Blues was to get promoted.
Yeah.
End of story. This was just a bit of icing on the cake.
I'd agree with that. Disappointed in it, Chris? Or as Shaun has said there, the main thing was to get promoted again.
Was disappointed, but It just goes to show, doesn't it, these games at Wembley can be unpredictable purely because you just go at the game differently to a league game.
Yeah.
So come on, boys.
I felt sorry for the two Birmingham supporters that went with the dog. Oh, no, sorry, there was 50,000 went, weren't there? Sorry, I forgot about that.
Right, the last thing on that final for Blues, I thought it was disrespectful personally. I didn't like the way, and I think it was probably for the cameras for this new Amazon Prime show. I really didn't like the way that, and people say that Tom Brady was leading it. I don't think it was. Tom Wagner, is it Wagner? Wagner, sorry, Wagner. Posh. I really didn't like the way that he caught with the players.
I thought that was a bit silly, but I think, as you've just alluded to, I think it's something to do with football.
Correct.
Amazon Prime thing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you say, main thing is that you've been promoted and you are now champion.
Of course, yeah. We've got the open top bus.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no place for it. There's no place in football for owners getting involved that much.
There isn't.
No.
I couldn't agree.
It hasn't gone well before, has it?
No, absolutely not. Okay. Congratulations also, obviously, for Peterborough there. Second time on the trot that they've won it. Yeah. Congratulations to Leeds and Burnley for coming up as well. We obviously, had a segment on the championship last time. My mate that I work with, Gavin Wee, the Burnley fan, who's doing the bike ride for Padham, Casual Minds Matter, Just Giving page, as he keeps on asking me to do. He's doing a Hellman sports bike thing, so he's doing the last Burnley game now that they're up, and then he's doing a 500-mile bicycle ride. Wow. So I've told him not to have too many drinks on that one, so good luck on that one, Gav. Okay. Right, some things that have happened today. Obviously, this is the 24th, so this is hot off the press. Jamie Vardy, right? So he's announced that he's leaving Leicester after 13 years and he's going to play in the MLS League. He's 38 now. Totally respect him for this decision. Maybe the fact that Leicester went down has marred it somewhat. But, when I think of Jamie Vardy, I think of Ian Wright, I think of Shaun Teale, I think of Stuart Pearce, the guys that came through the non-league scene to get to the very top of the game. So, whereas we've had conversations about, John Duran going to the Middle East for the money. At 38, he can show the medals to his grandkids. Can Jamie Vardy? He's been there, done it. He's won the FA Cup. He's won the league. He's played for England. Scored a hatful of goals. One question that came up as I was coming to the studio today from Talk Sport, Jim White brought it up, is Jamie Vardy a legend of the Premier League?
Yeah, he'd have to be. With his goal scoring exploits, yeah, he's got to be. He took that little Leicester team all the way to winning Premiership. I mean, obviously not on his own, but he was a big part of that. His goals were a massive part of them winning the Premiership. So, yeah, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Jamie Vardy will be classed as a Premier League legend.
Yeah.
I think he's going to America twofold, really. He's obviously been offered, or he's going to be offered, a fabulous deal. And it gets his missus out of England, doesn't it? So the Rooney's part.
I can see a TV show there.
Yeah.
Coming up, the Vardys in America or something like that. Yeah. But, to me, it epitomises, what we grew up with in our age group, the players coming through.
He's been that player that everybody loves to hate.
Yes.
Because he's got his antics, the cupping the ears and winding people up. But to be fair to him, he takes a hell of a lot of abuse from the stands every game he plays in. So fair play to him. I've got nothing against Jamie. Like you said, he came up through Stocksbridge Steels and then went to Fleetwood and made his name. And fair play to him. Fair play to everything he does in the game.
There's something I admire, Shaun, and you're in that category. I just referenced you with Pearce and Wright. That there's something that is magical about players that come through that brutal world of the non-league, being told that they're not particularly good enough to make it, and have that bloody mindedness to go on and do it. There's something, when I did your book with you, it makes you, adhere to that person that you're writing for more. So, Jamie, if you want somebody to write your book, you know where I am, basically.
Like I've always said, the one thing about coming through non-league and into the professional game is it grounds you. It really does ground you, because you go to Donald Duck Rovers on a Tuesday night when it's pouring down with rain and 6 inches in mud, and there's no airs and graces. The changing rooms are freezing, the showers are cold, and you sort of get used to that. So when you get that step up and you go into the Football League at whatever level, it gets better. And obviously once you get to the very top, then it's a different ball game altogether, because everything's there for you, everything's sorted out for you. You're not cleaning your own boots and all that garbage. I mean, the number of times I've scraped mud off, caked in mud off my boots, 3 inches thick is unbelievable.
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't know if you guys have heard it yet, but Mr. Vardy come out with a press conference or came out with some kind of social media thing. And it wasn't media trained, what he said. It was completely from the heart. So if you get a chance, guys, you've got to watch.
What was he referring to?
The fact that he's leaving.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing that he regrets is what's happened this season with them. Obviously, as a 38-year-old, you can't carry the team, but he was completely sincere.
I'll tell you what, as a 38-year-old, he's done some running around up front for that team this year, chasing and harrying, trying to do his best.
Yeah, really,
he's had no service, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we've just mentioned Ian Wright as part of the 4 people there that have come up through the 4 good examples of coming through the ranks of lower league to get to the very top. He's in the news today, not for the reasons that he wants to be. Eni Aluko was on Women's Hour or Woman's Hour.
Here we go.
Forgive me if I've said this wrong.
Get the popcorn ready.
Yeah. And she referenced, I don't know it verbatim, but from what I can tell, she's come out with the fact that perhaps Ian Wright, who's done so much for women's football, he needs to think about, what he's doing, and perhaps he's doing a little bit too much on the football front. First thing that I thought of with that was, okay, if you're going to cite somebody like Ian Wright, who's a great pundit, and I also think that Alex Scott is a great pundit, but she's on, as far as I can tell, a lot more TV shows than somebody like Ian Wright. Now, you could go on the merits of women's football. People have got comments on it. There's no doubt that it has grown exponentially over the last 10 years or so, and it's great. And, they're getting far more coverage for it, and it's working really well. But for me, comments that Aluka has made has put back women's football.
Yeah, because basically, Rob, the outline of the story is she's saying that Ian Wright's taking the job away from a female presenter or a female analyst on TV.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to think better, smarter than that, because at the end of the day, on more or less every Premier League game or every European game, there's a female presenter. Whether she's lead presenter or she's on the panel, there's always one nowadays. Always. You go on radio, go on TalkSport. There's always a female on TalkSport alongside as a co-presenter. Yep. So you can whinge and moan all you like, but the true fact is, if you're not good at your job, you're not going to get the work. It's as plain and simple as that, and that goes for the men as well. If you're not good at your job as a male presenting, you're not going to get that work.
So, in a nutshell, I haven't seen the comment. Is that basically what she's saying regarding Ian Wright? That Ian
Wright's taking a female presenter's place because he's doing so much of the women. I've got one more announcement.
Go on.
Today, Villa have actually come out and put it in the press that the North Stand's getting sorted out.
Hey.
And it will be done by 2027. Another 12,000 seats, which will take us to 55,000 in time for the European Championships in 2028.
Fantastic.
I heard that growing quickly.
Pardon my ignorance, but what is the North? Where is the North Stand? Which part? That's not the ends. It's not the ends.
Opposite the Holt end.
Oh, right, the old Wittenry.
Yeah, the old Whitton.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the old
The
Whitton.
old
Yeah.
the old Whitton's the Doug Ellis stand.
Oh, for God's sake.
No, the Whitton. No.
Whitton.
Sean, the Whitton end used to be what the North Stand is now.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
That used to be called, but just a bit before your time on that one.
It was the hill,
mate.
basically.
Yeah, it was a hill.
The hill. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a mound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First ever games were in that part of it.
So,
it's good.
I don't know how they're going to do it because 12,000 seats seems an awful lot. I can only imagine that they're going to use the two open corners and fill them in. That's
back a bit, maybe.
Well, no, because they're not going to change the structure. The structure of the North Stand hasn't been changed one bit.
It's going to be interesting, but here's one. We were supposed to be doing it like now sort of thing. Last season, if you remember, there was talk about ripping up the North Stand and doing it again, or doing what you've just said there, Sean. I don't know which one. But the plans were shelved. Yeah, that's it. But the plans were shelved by Heck and his team because of the fact that we looked very much like we were going to get Champions League football as we were top four.
Correct. And that would have reduced capacity massively. Correct.
So is Villa's strategy at the moment that we are not going to be Champions League again next season?
No, because what they've come out and said in the club statement is that people in the North Stand will not be affected for any game. So the North Stand, as it stands now, will be the North Stand still. It's what's added onto it.
Right, okay. So are they looking to close the corners in then?
Well, I presume, because that's the only space there is on that end of the ground. The only other thing I suppose they could do, but I couldn't see them going up or putting another tier in there. I suppose they could if they wanted to, but I don't know.
It's there though.
Surely, if they were going to put another tier in, that will close that stand while it's put in.
Safety.
So I can only surmise that the corner flag, which is obviously a hospitality lounge, will go, and what used to be the super box in the opposite corner, which is just a bar, believe it or not. Now you can walk through there and there's a bar there and nothing else. I presume they're going to get rid of that and just rebuild from the base of them upwards as high as they can go to link the whole stadium together.
I think the council have come out and said that they are going to do work on Whitton Station now. So
Villa were pretty adamant that they were not going to get involved in anything to do with Villa Park unless there was a guarantee from the council that Whitton would be changed, that there would be better queuing options, more shelters on the stand, and more trains going in and out of there on match days.
Yeah, and this week we reopened or finished off the club shop, didn't we?
Yes, yeah, I didn't go in because I didn't have time, but it's huge. And then obviously the next thing that on top of that, by the time we get to next season, will be the warehouse should be open, I think, on the end there. So I don't know what happens then to the fan zone in the car park. I'm presuming that will be taken down.
It doesn't look good.
I don't mind it. And to be fair, it was perhaps against Newcastle and PSG, and I mean rammed.
Yeah.
But obviously they've done that, and then they put the tented area up by the statue at the front for the last few games. There's been a tented area there, which has ended up being another hospitality thing. And I can't see that staying. I think, this is just for the fans because we've got so many big games. Give everybody a chance to go in there, get a drink, pay a little bit more, get a drink, without having to go off site.
Yeah. So all that is based in reality and is happening now. Let's go over to the Unicorn Club. The pie in the sky one. How are you getting on building your 70,000 million?
60,000.
60,000.
We're not greedy. 60,000 will do.
Yeah. Do you know what? If it does happen, Chris, right? And
it's going to happen.
Yeah, I welcome it because why shouldn't our city have two great, fabulous, world-class stadiums?
Yeah, and we will do. Yeah,
there can only be one truly world-class.
Yeah, I think it's an all-encompassing village type thing. They're looking at everything.
It's
a sports complex. It's going to be really.
Yeah, the first ones to pick up on that were the Germans when they or one of the first, when they the Allianz Stadium was completed, and it was made for 365 days. And that was that, because obviously my Italian book comes out next month.
Oh, right, okay. That's the Italian book, like what you wrote?
Like what I wrote, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Cut and paste all the way through. And that was the thing why, part of the reason why the Italian scene didn't do well, because they built all their stadiums for 1990 World Cup, not thinking about, and you can understand why they weren't thinking of it. They've now they're multi-purpose stadiums, aren't they?
Mm. Yeah.
Everybody's building multi-purpose stadiums on there.
Sorry, just going back on the Blues. For the first time, we've got a waiting list now of season tickets. Wow, how about that then? First time in 150 years.
In a way, Chris, I mean, that's how it should be now. You've got promoted in, you've got supposedly this new stadium being built. You need to be able to fill it for it to pay its way. And the whole thing about building a new stadium is revenue. And if Blues want to get back to the heights of the Premier League and challenge for things, then they need a bigger stadium for the revenue, because otherwise, with PSR the way it is, that they're going to go up, not be able to spend very much, and come straight back down. I mean, 2 seasons on the run now, everybody that's come up's gone down.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that'll happen this year. I think, Burnley and Leeds will have a half decent chance of staying in there.
Well, I think Leeds are very much well into the PSR route, so are doing well in it. So I think they'll probably have a bit of a war chest to spend on that. Yeah. But this city again, we need world class facilities in this city. So bring it on, and it keeps us on our toes.
Yeah, well, we were lucky in the sense that Alexander Stadium was done up for the Commonwealth Games, wasn't it? Yeah. So it went from a mediocre stadium to an ultra modern stadium where they can wheel the stands in and out, can't they? So the more sporting events we can hold in Birmingham, the better for the city.
And let's be honest, we both need each other. What a horrible thing to say. Without rivalry and this tribal game, what's the point?
Absolutely. That is so true. Newcastle fans need Sunderland. Sunderland need Newcastle. Arsenal needs Spurs. Liverpool. Could go on.
Nobody needs Crew.
Yeah, but I couldn't agree. I always say that we need each other at the end of the day. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Still glad that won though. Right, just moving swiftly on from that. Let's go back to the semi-finals. We'll finish on this, guys. Right, so semi-final weekend. Think back to the windmills of your mind. Good title for a song, isn't it? Right. So,
never catch on.
What has been your favourite ever semi-final game?
Oh my word!
Right, and should the semi-finals be played at Wembley?
No.
You don't need to say any more than that. I'm converted. No. Exactly, Shaun.
No, they shouldn't be played at Wembley. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. I think it takes away the glory of going to the final.
Yeah, it used to be called the Road to Wembley, didn't it? Mm. Yeah. That didn't include the semi-final there. So think about it, guys, to all the semi-finals that have been played, Old Trafford, Villa Park, Sheffield Wednesday, all that kind of stuff. What would be your favourite ever semi-final? He's passing the book there, Shaun.
Well, you know what mine's going to
The tell you one I go for is the one at Villa Park where Giggsy danced through about 4 players and smashed it in the top corner. And was that against Carless?
No, it was against Arsenal.
There you go. That one.
It was a pivotal. That was an absolutely pivotal moment for United winning the treble that season back in 1999. But everybody will say that game. You've got the Ryan Giggs goal, sending offs, penalty misses in the last minute. The 2 top teams playing each other at that time.
I mean, one other one looking from a Villa point of view would be the Villa-Liverpool semi-final at Wembley. Did Jack score in that? Was it Jack that scored? Or Jack?
It was Delph and Benteke.
Yeah, but Jack played so well. Yeah, Jack played really well on the day. So, I mean, that as a Villa point of view, because we don't get to many semis or FA Cup semi-finals. We usually blow ourselves up halfway. So it's nice to get this far this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, what would be yours?
Mine's two-part, really. I'll have to go back to 1975. I know, yeah.
Right, I know where he's going to come out with there from a local point of view.
Going up to Hillsborough with another 50,000 away following, which I think is probably one of the records for an away following. Not being able to get on a train back, so I had to stand up all the way there, 1:30 in the morning, and missing the stop because I fell asleep. And then going to Main Road on the Tuesday and going out in the 120th minute.
Right, so that's what happened. What was his name? John Mitchell. Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. So 7 seconds to go. Fulham are playing Birmingham, and literally 7 seconds to go. John Mitchell scored for Fulham.
Yeah.
I've got a big picture of John Mitchell on my wall.
That's the Blues story of our life. That was.
Yeah. And obviously West Ham went on to win that. Yeah. Claret and Blue both won the Cups that year. We won the League Cup on that one. Of course, you lost to Leeds as well, didn't you, in the 73?
Yeah.
I mean, that's right as well, 72, 73. Another final, and nobody's picked up on it yet. I have to say that the Man United-Arsenal game is probably the most remembered. But do you remember the 1990 semi-final at Villa Park? Crystal Palace 4, Liverpool 3. Fantastic game.
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you who scored the last-minute goal. Became manager for Newcastle and Crystal Palace. Come on, what's his name? Oh, did the dance at Wembley.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Back in 2016 when Palace got there.
I want to say Holborn. I want to say
I can't think of his name.
No.
I absolutely can't think of his name.
Who?
Pardew. That's the one. Yeah. Nipped in with the. I think Wright scored and Bright scored. I know you don't want to mention that Mark Bright's name on the show, Shaun.
Well,
if you
mention it, yeah. I might spit on my phone.
Yeah, if you want to know what that's all about, you can go and buy Shaun Teale's book in all good record stores. I'm having a mare tonight. Right, so that brings us to the end of this week's show. What are you up to in the next couple of weeks, Shaun?
I don't know. I'm not going to Wembley Saturday. I could have gone, but I decided not to because I thought, well, I'm going to sit at home and watch us get to Wembley, to the proper Wembley, to the final, and then I'll go. Obviously, there's 2 home games left to come, so I'll be working at those 2. I'm also planning to flit over to Spain for a little bit as well. In between.
Here we go.
Between the 2 home games. And apart from that, I'll either be working or lying in my back garden in the sunshine.
Yeah, so would this little jaunt to Spain, I presume it's Spain again?
Yes.
Yeah, and would I be correct in assuming that it is at your brother-in-law's place again?
Yes.
Chris, do you want to say a few words about this?
I'm not saying anything. You know, if you can get a free, go for it.
You know,
it's 28 degrees there today.
Oh, that sounds good. All I can think about now is Denise Williams, number 1 from the 70s. 77. Free. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, free. But I just got to be free.
Was he called Free?
It was called Free.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Absolutely. Written about Shaun Teale.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, have a good time.
Famous before it was even famous.
Do you want us to send you some money for the flights, or have you picked up on that?
No, that's fine. I don't need donations.
Chris, what are you up to
this weekend?
Well, you know, we won't speak until a couple of weeks.
No, not really. I shan't be watching the game, obviously, the Villa game, obviously. You know,
you won't.
No. I'll be washing my hair. At least we'll do something important.
Well, that'll take all of 10 seconds.
I was going to say he needs to wash it. I'm in the studio with him. Remember?
Well, to be honest, you know what he could do? He could do some work on that studio. He could get it insulated a bit, so next time I come, I'm not freezing to death.
Have you not noticed on your feet, nice new carpet?
Yes, you've got a nice new carpet, actually. Looking down.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the carpet.
Yeah. Maybe we could get you down in August. a hot or night.
Now, that was a question I was going to ask. And obviously, our viewers of the podcast, are we podcasting right through the summer?
I don't think so.
Don't think so. No,
I
have too many holidays.
Don't tell me you're on.
No.
I'm telling you.
Hard-earned cash, mine.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'll tell you what would be nice. We'll finish it at the end of May.
Yeah.
And then have the break. What we will do, or what I'm thinking for the last one, we're letting our viewers know what's going on now, is we'll have the best of the season, best goal, best team player, worst player, the most funniest moment,
best free holiday,
best free.
Yeah, we could always restart it up for the Club World Cup.
There wouldn't be much.
No interest in that then, was there?
Absolutely none whatsoever. No. I'd rather do a segment on Teale's free holidays in July through to August on that one. But we've got plenty more to get in beforehand.
Well, I might be going to Norway as well.
Oh, for God's sake.
Which member of the family is over there?
No. To do with the Norwegian Lions.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
What's going down, Mr. Teale?
That's going to be fun.
To play in a competition out there that Chelsea, a load of English clubs go and take former players that play in it. So,
wow, that's good.
All right.
So we might be doing that. I think myself, Alan Wright might be going, and whoever else we can get to come.
Now, my question is...
That's not been confirmed or denied as yet.
I hope it goes ahead.
Yeah, it's like a long weekend. It's a Thursday to Sunday kind of thing, So,
I take it that you're paying for it yourself, aren't you? You're not going to be... No,
of course not. There'll be contributions.
Yes, but make room for books, Mr. Teale.
Well, they've all bought them.
They haven't. We didn't... I think there was still quite a few that need to be bought.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay. If they come to you with their... for you to sign stuff, get a book out.
Hey, you know what I could have done, Rob? I could have phoned Kieran and gone, because they're having like a semi-final party. I could have phoned him and see if he wanted me to come down, and I could have took a load.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
We need a full there to batter everyone into buying a book.
Yeah. We'll get Mr. Ryder on that one, definitely.
Push, no wink.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, gentlemen, I shall speak to you soon.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Take care, both.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.